It's been a rough weekend for the Conservative Party. It lost nearly 500 seats on local councils, with now even fewer seats than the Lib Dems. Labour won all three of the newly created regional mayors in the East Midlands, North East and York and North Yorkshire, and there's no doubt this poses existential questions for the party. But the now former mayor of the West Midlands, Andy Street, amidst the backdrop of his electoral loss, rather interestingly, warned against the party's drift to the right. But is Mr. Street right? Is the problem that the Conservatives are too right-wing? Well, let's break this issue down, issue by issue. The numbers of channel crossings so far this year are at an all-time high for this point in the year, which would suggest we could be on track for another record total this year. And this is all in spite of the Prime Minister repeatedly saying,
the first time since the small boats crisis emerged, numbers are down. I just want to say that again. Yep. Numbers are down.
They're down because of all the things we're doing. The new deal I signed with Albania. We've returned almost 3,000 illegal migrants to Albania. And you know what? They've stopped coming.
I'm pleased that we've made progress. Last year the numbers were down by a third. Never happened before. Shows that the plans are working.
The numbers are down and the plan is working. Well, I think it's safe to say our policy on illegal migration, which has included housing migrants in four-star hotels, is anything but right-wing. In fact, we're putting them in the best wing of the hotel. Now, what about legal migration? Well, the funny thing is we are constantly told that Suella Braverman is some sort of extremist. Similar things were said about Priti Patel, of course, but if you look at the numbers, these were the two most left-wing Home Secretaries we've ever had. Net migration continues to break all records we could have ever imagined, with net numbers to June 2023 at 675,000. This is all in the face of repeated electoral mandates for the precise opposite. So is ignoring the British people and opening our borders right-wing? I think not. Next, what about taxes? Well, surely we can rely on even the wettest of Tories to keep our taxes low. I'm afraid not. The UK's tax burden is on track to reach the highest it's been since the Second World War. But when you zoom in on some of the details, there are countless anomalies in which some people are paying astronomical marginal rates, as high, in fact, as 70%. It's hard to describe this as right-wing either. So what about welfare? Surely we can rely on the Tories to cut back on benefits. I'm afraid it's wrong again. Record numbers of working-age people are on out-of-work benefits, about 5.5 million people now. And since the Tories took power, the size of the state has grown exponentially. Since 2016, the civil service has increased its workforce by a whopping 100,000, with the wage bill increasing by 60% over that same period. Speaking of the civil service, week in and week out, we hear what's really going on in the heart of Whitehall, in part thanks to GBNews' US Steve Edgington, who has tirelessly covered the issue of woke Whitehall waste. It's been estimated by Conservative Way Forward that woke spending is as much as £7 billion. And don't forget, that's your money. Steve has also revealed the extent to which woke ideology has infected our armed forces, with 111 diversity champions and advocates, and the Ministry of Defence having 93 diversity networks. On the nanny state, it was a Conservative government that issued a generational ban on smoking, straight out of the health fanatics' new Labour playbook. When Jeremy Corbyn lost his election to Boris Johnson in 2019, he rather bizarrely said, "We won the argument," at which point most people looked at him like it was time to send him off to the old people's home, to the knackers yard. But in hindsight, he was right. The electorates may have backed Conservative policies in 2019, but they got socialist ones instead. In fact, if the Tories were any further to the left, as Mr. Street and others have suggested would be wise, they would in fact be Corbynistas. Now, as ever, let me know your thoughts on that. Mailmog@gbnews.com.